Welcome back to predicting, not really at this point, Splatoon 3. So this is part 2 of episode 2, which is the story mode and English voice actors. And I already discussed the English voice actors just on the first part, but I haven't really decided. So in the last part I said I didn't know who I was going to have for 13-14's dad English voice actor, and I had to choose either Josh Duhamel or Matthew Merker. And I chose Matthew Merker because he's done voice acting more than Josh Duhamel has. So I picked Matthew Merker as the voice actor for 13-14's dad. So I chose them, or him anyways, to voice them now. So now I'm gonna get back to finishing what I think the story mode will be. So last episode I talked about English voice actors and chapters 1 through 10 of the story mode, and now I'm predicting the last 10, which are chapters 11 through 20. And at this point, I'm not really predicting the story mode anymore. It's just basically my fan made story mode now. So so here's what I'm thinking will be chapter 11. Chapter 11, Splat and Attack. So you play the Agent 13, it's just a regular mission. It's nothing really too special, so I haven't really decided. So I mean, and then at the end of the mission, 11 almost gets or 13 almost gets splatted, and she just almost, like I said, I haven't scripted this, so I'm kind of nervous. So the story mode is so I haven't scripted this. I'm sorry. So at the end, so I'm sorry. I'm a little nervous. Let me pause this for a minute. Okay. So 13 almost gets splatted, but 11 saves her, and then she gets kind of mad at him because she didn't. I mean, for no reason. And then 11 feels bad, and then he just walks away, just sitting on a bench, feeling bad for making her mad. And then some OCTARIANS surround him, and then he gets hit in the head, and then basically knocked out. And then Callie sees it, and then she goes find some help, and the only person she could contact was Marie. So they asked for her help. So then chapter 12, Let's Rock It, is where 11 finally wakes up, and then he tries to escape, and he does he finds a way to escape, and then just the jail cell, but then has to get back into the or at least out of the jail. Uh, I have papers all over the place. I'm really nervous. So 11 finds a way to escape the jail cell, and then he escapes. Really, almost trying to find a way out. And then he sees two octolings, but really it's just kind of marine disguise. They took off their masks, and then they reveal that they came to rescue him because they had to thank him for rescuing them. So they decided to rescue him as a thank you. So so then after that the alarm goes off, and then 11 tells Callie and Marie to go find a different way he would buy them some time, and then at that point you'll pretty much get locked into a room with some OCTARIANS, and you have to beat them all. And then after that you'll find a way out. I mean, I should point out that there was a specific Octoling that just looked at him, and then he just walked away, and he was actually the one who sounded the alarm, of course he walked away again, and then 11 follows him up to the roof, and then hears footsteps behind him, and he just goes like boom, and then he realized it was just Callie Marie, and then they hear a voice saying, "So you come," and then Callie Marie were like, "Is that no? It can't be," and all that, and then he looks up and then gets up and then takes off the hoodie that he was wearing and reveals who he is, and it is Agent 7, who is a male Octoling. He reveals that he faked his own death, and then he presses a button and then just pushes Cal and Marie off of the building that they were on. I mean, they didn't die or anything, but they escaped, or not escaped, but just you know. And then Sam explains that he faked his own death, and then he decided to be back to himself. Like, he was an agent, but he betrayed the agent so he can get back to the way he was. He kind of wasn't himself or something, as you can say. And then you basically have to fight him. There are like 4 rounds, or at least 3 rounds that you have to fight him, and then it's kind of like a specific powder that you have to fight him in. And then when the second one starts up, like he actually shows that he was wearing some regular Octo shades, and then he puts on the shades that Callie wore in Splatoon 2 because he said he reprogrammed them so it can make him stronger instead. So then he puts them on, then he crushed the Octo shades and says, "Alright, Age 11, let's rock." And then the boss battle pretty much gets hard, and then the metal version of Calamari Extinction, which I called Chaotic Calamari Extinction. And then after the 2 times you find them, and then they basically just point their guns at each other at the end, and then 11 and just decides to trick him, and realizes that his gun is out of ink, and then someone's like ha ha ha, and then 11 just tricks him and then shoots his other dually. Then he tries to find Callie Marie, and then this is why I set this channel as not for kids, because this next part I'm going to tell you is kind of the reason I set this channel as not for kids. 7 stabs 11 and killed him. Then he says, you call yourself an agent, you're just a pretender and all that. And then we finally see Callie Marie wake up, and then Callie sees the shade, and then Marie takes them, breaks them in half, throws them behind her, and then says, "Seriously, Callie, forget about those stupid sunglasses." And then they find 11, and he pretty much finds them dead, and then they go to the other agents, and they are all pretty upset by it, but 13 was most upset because she blames herself for his death, and it basically explains how they met. So 11 and 12 were just sitting alone at a table, and then 13 14 decided to go sit with them just to see if they were okay, and then they ended up becoming friends. That's basically how they all met. And then 13 starts crying, blaming herself, and then 14 knew she was upset, so she told Marina to help make a time machine or something like that to help her. So, and then next up is chapter 13, Josh. So basically, you have to find some parts to make a time machine or some stuff like that. It's in 4 parts. Part 1 you play as Agent 12. Part 2 you'll play as Agent 13, and Part 3 you'll play as Agent 14. So it's basically just getting the parts and all that. And then they and then and they finally found the parts, and said, Maria said that she can build the time machine, and um, then 12 says, "Finally, I get to see my brother again." And then he gets shot. He didn't die, though. It was by Josh, the Octoling that I mentioned in part 1 of episode 2. It would be voiced by Anthony Del Rio, or Del Rio. And he actually realized that he's Marina's ex-boyfriend, and he really hated Pearl, and always called her big-headed and stuff like that, which is really mean. Don't disrespect Pearl, seriously. And then he heard about 11's death and said he couldn't help but feel sorry, and then he and his boys grab the parts and basically just steal them, and basically find a small little attack just to get them behind, and then and then he feels bad. He said he feels bad, and then part 4 you play as Agent 12, and then you have to follow the helicopter for a bit, and then he grabs onto the helicopter, and then Josh says nice try, then shoots him down. He didn't land on anybody, but he did kind of hurt himself bad. He he feels, you know I don't know. And then chapter 14 starts. Is basically you play as whoever you want for part 1 and 2. Part 1 you can play as either Agent 12, 13, or 14, and then part 2 you have to play a different one. And then it's basically just pretty standard. So you can play as whoever you want, and so basically you have to first find Josh, and then have to find a monster truck or something like that to to bring on a big attack or something. And then part 2 you have to fight a Nocto of an XL with Josh on the inside. So basically it's a lot harder than the first one that you fought in chapter 7, because you have one less person, and the boss is much harder. The boss is much harder, and there's one less person helping you. It makes it harder a lot. And then after you defeat them, of course the Octo Oven XL explodes, and then Josh lands hurt, and then they say it's over, and then Josh challenges 12 to a splat duel where, and if he wins, he gets the parts back, and if he loses, Marie has to leave the Angels that have to get back together with Josh, and 12 only agrees to it because he just feels like he knew he was going to win, and then the so the the little part of the story mode you actually have to cheat. The game will actually want you to cheat, and actually shoot him early, and then you get the parts back and all that, and then it's chapter 15, the 11th rescue. You play as Agent 13, and she offers to go back in time to help him, but there's only one time, and once that one time goes off, then she pretty much is done and cannot go back. So yeah, and then in chapter um or not really that, and then you fight, and then 13 stops some before he stops 11, and then pretty much saves him from there. And then you have to fight Agent 7 with 13, and then after that, 13 apologizes to 11 for acting kind of mean, and then 11 and 13 become boyfriend and girlfriend. So then, and yeah, and then and one of the parts is actually kind of extremely hard to get, and there's only one left of that thing, and I don't know which part I decided for it to be yet. So you can't. So then after that, no more time machines can be made. So then that's pretty much it until then. So, and then it's chapter 16, 11's return. So this part is basically in two chapters. So first part you'll play at Agent 11, then you just do a Octoling level. It's basically normal from there. And then chapter 17 is Stay Solid In. You play as Agent 12, 13, and 14, and you rescue Agent 4 and Agent 8 because they've been captured by Octolings, or at least sensitized Octolings. And that's what the Octolings will be in chapter 16. Then chapter 17, the um Stay Settled In is actually the name of chapter 17, and then you have to rescue 4 and 8, then you have to escape and all that. Then at the end of it, 11 finally meets 4 and 8, but he knew something was wrong with them, then they shoot them, and then he shoots them, then they are revealed to be a sensitized Inkling and a sensitized Octoling, so 4 and 8 ended up getting sensitized, and then it pretty much stops there, and then you go to chapter 18, the sensitized. So they explain like how they ended up getting sensitized, and said that Commander Tartar returns, and he was faking his death the whole time, and Pearl's battle cry did not stop him; it just stopped a model of him. So then the chapters split into 4 parts. So part 1, you'll play as Agent 11, and you have to fight 4 and 8 for a bit. Then part 2, you'll play as Agent 12, and you have to like rescue 11 from them. So it's basically it from then. And then or at least part 3 of chapter 17, you'll play as 14, and you have to escape while she holds off 4 and 8. And then the last part, you have to fight. You'll play as Agent 13, and you'll fight the two again in a car chase. I heard it was supposed to be like a really fun level. And then chapter 19 is called Fly Agents Fly. I didn't really think of a name. I mean, it's supposed to be like Fly Out to Fly, but except it's Agent. So you play as Agent 14. It's basically like a sensitized Octarian level. 11 to 13 help you out, and you play as Agent 14. And then it's the last chapter, Endgame, Into the Light. Parts 1 and 6 are supposed to be like some puzzle levels, basically like the Octo expansion. On part 7, you play as either Agent 11, Agent 12, or you can play as Agent 13, Agent 14. So you have to fight a Sentinite, Agent 4, and a Sentinite, Agent 8. So if you play as 11 and 12, you'll fight Sentinite 4, and if you play as 13 and 14, you'll fight the Sentinite 8. So, and then the scene Calamari Bites would play is basically like a fusion of Calamari Incantation and Shark Bites, fused into Calamari Bites. Get it? And then you basically and then after you defeat them, you put a cure in them, which make them no longer sensitized, and then the other agents just help them out, and basically just helps them from, you know, being forever sensitized. And then the final part, the new statue that Tartar built, it's basically the final boss of the or basically the final boss. So it's split into 4 parts. It's basically really similar to the Octo expansion ending. So it starts off with Agent 14. You start off with her in part one. You basically have to use the roller to help you out, and then after that, I don't know what else to say. The part two, you play as Agent 13. Each some of the ones you have to use specials, like the specials, like the last part will have to be like activated by a bomb for each agent. Then it basically have like 4 minutes because there's 4 agents. I decided to have it be 4 minutes. Then at the end, Calibri, Pearl, Maria, King, Jane all come together for a huge battle cry from the Princess Can that Pearl has. They release a full-on battle cry, and then Tartar is pretty much defeated, and then they stop, and then they basically save Dean Goblets from Ultimate Doom, and then 12 and Marina become a thing. Yeah, like I said, I don't ship Pearl and Marina. I would rather have Marina have a boyfriend with my character's brother, not my character, but my character's boyfriend, or not. Sorry, I'm not scripted. Not my character. It's my character's brother. My character's brother. So Maria would be a thing with my character's brother. Not my character, my character's brother. Brother. Not friend or anything, but brother. Yes. And then they get back and then they can visit each other whenever they want now. And then they basically say it's just the beginning of, and they have to open the book to this new life, and then the English version of it still I played, and then you can play the humans now, or huminklings as I would like to call them. It's basically like inklings and octolings, but except they're in human form. I mean, some people might actually be confused. Like some of the inklings could be concerned about because humans aren't fully a thing and aren't really canon in Splatoon. Kind of. I mean, they went extinct 10,000 years ago, but they're the only ones that come together. So basically, that's pretty much it for the story mode. The next part will be split into 2 parts as well, which is Splatoon 3: The Rise of Agent 7. It's my Seagull story mode. It takes place right after Splatoon 3 story mode. I'll cover that in a few days. So until then, I'll see you guys next time. I'm out of breath from talking, and I need to take a break from talking. So I'll let you head on out or something. So until I talk about the second story mode, stay settled in. Squid out.